Well, welcome and very good evening. I'm going to turn myself down. That's the first thing I'm going to do. It's just a little bit too loud, I think. Well, thank you. We'll make a fairly prompt start because, amongst other things, we have evening prayer here at 6:30, and which you are all welcome to, of course. But that would be the biggest evening prayer gathering in all my time here, I think. So I'm imagining we might be an hour 10 minutes or so, and thank you. So, as most of you know, I went off to the States for a bit of a sabbatical. In the Church of England, at least in this diocese, you get a sabbatical you are entitled to apply for a sabbatical every 10 years. I've kept moving dioceses. Every time you move, you go back to 0. So this is my first one ever, and I think my last, because you're not allowed to apply for one within 2 years of your retirement either. So this was my sort of one and only 3 months. It's called a study leave. I mean, that's really by way of saying you're not meant to have a holiday, you're meant to do something educational, and you've got to invent a little project. Some of you have known the first half I went up to Scotland. I'm from Scotland originally, and I'll reference some of that here. So I did a little video from Scotland, which you can find on the website, and then I went out to New York for about 4 weeks. A little bit less. I was hoping to go for 6 weeks. We had a family bereavement, so I did 4 weeks there, and people keep asking me, so I thought I'll do a slideshow. I was brought up with slideshows when I was a kid. Do you remember with the sort of the carousel that used to click round, and whenever your neighbours used to go on holiday, they used to go. There was nothing more tedious, I found, than watching somebody else's holiday snaps. So I'm going to try to avoid that. And lots of photographs of people that you've never met and random anecdotes. I would try to avoid that, but it does mean this will be quite a meandering conversation. So there are some holiday snaps, a few of them in there, but a bit of analysis and a bit of travel-log and a bit of history and a bit of politics and religion, and I'll sort of weave my way around. This is not a lecture, nor is it a sermon, so it is self-consciously wandering, so that when it gets a bit serious, I can pull it back and entertain you with something else. I think the first thing I should say is, by the way, that I know people keep asking me. I've had over 10 people now, I mean bright, well-educated people who say, did you meet Trump? And I mean, no, I did not meet Trump. So we mocked this up in the office. I say we, Lizzie, who's the children's worker, that's based on Macron. So we got Macron's picture of him meeting with Trump, and then I posed in the same position with my handshake, and then we stuck it into Chat GPT and said, can you impose this on that? And it did it. We had to then refine it a little bit, but a little bit of airbrushing in terms of Photoshop. But it was disturbingly quick. And actually, I then had a conversation with somebody in this congregation who works for Google. And I said, you know what I'd really like? I'd like an interview between me and Trump. Can you do that? And she said, yes, we absolutely can. I mean, that can be done. So I spent a lot of time this week thinking, should I, how much time have I got to spend on this? Because that would be, if this whole presentation was just me and Trump chatting, and him saying, Charles, you've got no cards, would that be a good use of my time? I haven't done that, but that's AI for you. This can all be done. They can do the voices, they can do the lit work, all of this can be done. This is not future stuff, this is present reality, these kind of deep fakes. So that's the first thing, that's a fake. I need also to say, quite a number of these photographs are also not really mine. I don't really do very good photographs when I'm on holiday. I have a bit of a rubbish phone. I've got a better one now, so the quality of what I took is not very good. So some of these pictures are mine, but some of them I've taken off the internet. But these are places that I've visited, and the ones you get online are usually better. So I should say something like that. I should probably first of all say, I really love America. Some of you know, a few years ago, we were out in California. Anyway, we flew in and out of Las Vegas, partly because it was sort of cheaper, and you could arrive there and you can have a cheap hotel for a couple of days to kind of get over the jet lag before going off. But also partly because I thought it will entertain my congregation if they can say their vicar is going to Vegas. Where is Charles? He's in Vegas. And I remember we went there with my wife, 20 years ago, before we had children, and the days of, double incomes and no kids. I mean, that was great. We had great holidays. So we were out in Vegas 20 years ago, and it's amazing. You sort of drive through. So you drive through the desert. You go out from Los Angeles, you drive there, and the desert is just staggering. Then you arrive in Vegas, and we sort of got there sort of late evening, and you see this incredible kind of place. And in one sense, what I love, because this is a ridiculous place to build a place. I mean, it is in the desert. You think nobody in their right mind would say, well, let's build a city here. But the Americans, this is what I think. They go, oh yeah, we'll build here. There's no water, there's no natural resources. It was a ridiculous place. It's far too hot. That's where we'll have our party city. And I sort of admire all that. And then they sort of go, oh yeah, well, how are we going to decorate? You know, you can't get, what if you can't get to Paris? Well, we'll do the Eiffel Tower here, and so you can go and visit that, and then you don't need to go abroad. You can go to Venice, and the Venetian has canals. You can go on a gondola. And I really I love all that sort of stuff about America. You have this great sense of, we went out afterwards. You go out this is down to Death Valley afterwards, and you can drive down to Death Valley, and you get a little bit scared as you drive down there, because you read all these things about, make sure you've got plenty of water in case you break down. Never ever go off the road. Don't follow your sat-nav in case it takes you into some, and so you're a little bit afraid that you're going to die, and this is the hottest place on Earth in terms of temperatures. But of course, the great thing is when you get down to the bottom, they've got a swimming pool. I mean, you arrive at the bottom of Death Valley, and because it's America, this is what they do, right? You can have an all-you-can-eat buffet, and you can go for a swim. And again, anybody else would say, well, that's a bit silly. That's not a good use of resource. And the Americans have gone, no, we're going to do it. So you have, I kind of think, so you sort of think if the Himalayas were in America, you wouldn't have to climb Everest, because there'd be a trolley bus that would take you up to the top, and that would save all of us a lot of hassle. And I sort of love that spirit. I mean, partly so it's the scenery, the kind of bigness of the whole place, but there's also stuff like the food. So this is from a restaurant in